I was just like so mad. I was like, why do I care about this shit? Why the fuck do I care about fucking sports? Why did they make me so fucking riled up? And I think like a Leafs shirt and a Leafs Christmas sweater got caught in the fire and got tossed. On today's Good Buds episode, we talk John Tavares and even more Magic Amulets. Anthony Stolarz is on IR. The third line, we've got a third line going, and Max Domi has finally scored a goal. He's back with the scream of the century. God of the Week, this is egregious, Numbers Game 2.0, and news around the league. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 45 of the Good Buds podcast, a show about the Toronto Maple Leafs, not weed, but weed is tight. My name is Joey Belfiore. I'm here with Andrew Bascom, and Andrew, I'm at a loss for words is what I would say if this was a Buffalo Sabres podcast.
I know. There were so much things about the comeback, the inevitable comeback in that game where you just go, oh yeah, of course this is what's going to happen. I also do feel for the Sabres because the Buffalo Bills, their other professional sports team, was playing at the exact same time. My favorite team, yes. Yeah. It was playing at the exact same time, and they're a very good team. And to think, like, which Sabres fans are like, I gotta stick with the Sabres, though. I gotta watch this game. And then just, like, handed heads, like, oh, no. Like, there should be a help group for those people.
Yeah, exact same time, because it was a 5 o'clock start.
It's exact
for the
same
Leafs
time.
last
Yeah.
night, which is kind of annoying. If I'm being honest with you, like, I've got enough football shit going on. And, you know, plus the fantasy playoffs.
Yes.
For those of you that play fantasy football. So
for these that celebrate, yeah.
I was just like, geez, Colts on one screen, Leafs on the other screen, Red Zone on another screen. It was too much. But by the end of it, I had turned off all football because I was so mad and was just solely on the Leafs, which was nice. A nice breather because I thought it wasn't going to go well, and I thought I was going to be, like, just in a pissy mood all night.
All across, everything.
So thank you to John Tavares for salvaging my night.
Yeah, it's one of those, when they turn it on, man, they're scary. And once whatever the switch was flipped, they just were a different team all of a sudden. Kind of sometime in the second period, all of a sudden the ball was rolling downhill.
Yeah, and it did not look that way to start.
No.
They just did not look ready to play. I don't know what that was. And, you know, that happens.
It does.
Game, 39 or 20? I don't even know. We're, 19, 10, and 2? So that was game 31.
In. Yeah.
So, that happens. And you just need them to find their legs, which they did. And it didn't come until the second period. But, yeah, like you said, like it was like a crazy switch that was so noticeable. And I haven't seen them do that sort of quick goal in the Berube era. That was kind of like a Sheldon Keefe thing, where obviously it was a team that feasted off the rush, a lot of north-south hockey, but by using their speed. And now I think with Berube, obviously the style is different. We don't see that as much, but it's nice to know that it's not gone and it's there, that when the team does go down. Because they play with a lead so much better than they did again under Sheldon. So it's good to know that, you know, when they're down 2-0 and then 3-1, it's not just, okay, well, we play with a lead, we can't play from behind. We can. So that was nice.
Yeah, it is nice. And the Sheldon versus Berube argument will probably go down. We'll bleed into next year just because I know the way we are as fans, and the fact that people still talk about Kyle Dubas is just kind of crazy. So I know this is going to be a thing that they keep talking about. Once Berube's team gets a lead, they're very good at holding it. Getting that lead sometimes is exceedingly difficult because the 5-on-5 goals are just not there. You're right. It was this weird, like, brief moment where you go, who is these? What's this team? This is great. But I think no matter the coach, the concerning part is, some games they just start and they look asleep. It was no different than Detroit, and it was no different than Buffalo, where it's just like, oh, wow, they don't want to play today, or what's going on? You know, it's a little concerning. Now, the exciting part is, when they want to start playing, man, are they good.
The same thing with that Nashville game a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Just started kind of asleep, and then in the second period, something just changed. So I don't know what that is. I mean, going through the season, like, as long as that's not happening in April, I don't care how we win.
Oh, no. I don't care at all. Because you don't get style points,
Yeah, like we said, we've said a million times this year, like, I'm done with milestones. I'm done with goal chases.
Yeah.
Just get a win. and I don't care about numbers. Except when you're Max Domi and you've got 8 points through 23 games. But the monkey is off the back for Max Domi. The third line was excellent last night. Max Domi, Nick Robertson, Bobby McMahon, who's back in a big way. That line just looked like, okay, if this is our third line and they can play like this, then perhaps the secondary scoring is going to start coming in bunches.
Well, yeah, it's a real binary thing of 1 or 0, where if the third line plays well, it's because one of them has scored a goal, which is a realistic option considering Max Domi, Nick Robertson, and Bobby McMahon are all goal scorers. They can all score goals. But for the beginning of this season, it has been tough for 2/3 of them to score goals. And so, yes, that third line looks great when they score, but when they don't, oh my God, it doesn't look that great. Sitting Minton is, one of the other decisions that came out of that. And we're seeing a new version of the lineup in versus Buffalo that we had in the past. Somehow Ryan Reeves is still in the lineup, and I will continue not to really fully understand that. Here, I got to throw the stat in now that I just brought it up.
Yeah.
The Leafs at one point of the game had 35 shots, and Ryan Reeves was not on the ice for a single one of them. That's not even a shot. Like, that is so unbelievably impressive that it's just that the puck just stops once he's on the ice. But that third line getting 2 goals like that makes a huge difference, obviously.
Hey, at least Ryan Reeves looked great in the belt pick, right?
Yeah,
that's what he's there for.
It makes you rethink everything. All the comments I say about Ryan Reeves, I'm like, I don't get this. And then they love him so much. I'm like, well, maybe there's this magic, and I'm not talking about the amulet, which obviously Max Domi is now a part of too. So
yes,
and that's scores a goal the second he gets signed. Coincidence? I think not.
The amulet is just making its way through the locker room.
Somebody's got to give Anthony Stolarz the amulet. Like, we got to start passing this around. What was it? The Yankees was the magic gold thong or something like they had to break a slump, and you'd wear this gold thong for the game, and it would break your slump.
The same gold thong they were passing it around and wearing it, or did each one have their own gold thong?
No, I think they used the same one. I'm sure it was laundered by the professionals in the clubhouse, but still, whatever. That should be the amulet where we pass it around and everyone gets one. That's JT's Christmas gift to everybody.
Truly is a Bronx zoo down there. Nasty.
In the underpants, yeah.
But yeah, Lindy Ruff at a loss for words, like he said. Buffalo winless in 10 straight, which is, it's just amazing. They've got the longest playoff drought in professional sports, as well as the New York Jets.
Yeah,
I think
it's the New York Jets. I know. Yeah.
It's like coming up on 14 years or something like that.
That is crazy.
It's bad. It's bad in Buffalo. And you know what? It was 2 weeks ago they were in a playoff spot. So just how quickly it can change.
Yeah.
Just at what point are you this is Lindy Ruff's second stint with the team.
Yeah.
He's this is the toughest problem solving opportunity I've ever had. So I don't even know where you go if you're Buffalo, because it was it last week where they were up 5 or 6-0 against Colorado and ended up losing? Yes,
it was. And then after that, Kevin Adams has the press conference that people are much deriding about. They have palm trees, we have taxes. Which I will say, I know a lot of people will often say, listen to the whole quote and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, but that line is bad. That sounds like you're making a very big excuse for a bunch of players and teams that don't seem to have this issue. Yes, a lot of Vegas and Floridas and stuff do well, but there's a lot of teams that are in cold climates that do well. So I just don't, that seemed like a real scapegoat kind of thing.
For relief, Kevin Adams.
Yeah, he is aged exactly like you think he would have.
Mm-hmm. He looks like Ron Howard.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could. Yeah, he also, his hairline did that thing where it's he's 28 or something like that. Oh, it's receding, and then it just stopped. It just stayed there, and you're like, well, that's weird. That's also kind of odd. He didn't lose it. He didn't keep it. It just stayed there, and you're like, oh, weird.
We almost got a goalie goal, which was fun.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I like that Hildy kind of went for it too.
Yeah, why not? JJ Paterka with the catch in center field to prevent it from happening, because I think it was going in.
Yeah,
you can try that if you're 2 goals up, which we were. You don't try that if you're only up by 1 and there's still a minute and a half to go. You're up 2, so you had the opportunity. Why not? And then I thought for a second, he was going to continue to try it. But
yeah.
Because there were moments where the puck went behind the net again, but he was just like, all right, I had my one. It didn't go well. That's it.
Yeah, it's the quote from Major League, like, nice move. Don't ever do that again. Like, Berube, like, hey, that was cool. That was almost out. You do that again, I'm going to sit you. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I like him trying to do that. I don't know if he is a well-regarded stick-handling goalie, but I just know the reputation of Leafs goalies and stick handling has not always been the greatest, so it did scare me a little bit when I'm like, oh, God, I think he's thinking about this, you know?
Yeah, in the past, yeah. Anthony Stolarz is, like, the first one where you're like, oh, okay, we got a nice little puck-moving goalie who, like, has his little Martin Brodeur in his back pocket. But, even Mike Johnson said that. He was like, I'm not sure what the deal is with Dennis Hildeby. I don't know much about him in terms of his stick handling, so we're not sure, I guess. Here's a question about Hildeby. We have brought Hildeby up this year already. Like, this wasn't his first start this year. But my question is, were you kind of shocked it was him and it wasn't, like, Matt Murray? Or Artur Akhtiamov, who's the best goalie in the AHL right now?
Yeah, and the Marlies, considering that the Toronto Maple Leafs roster has been half Marlies, have like an insane record right now. And Akhtiamov is a good goalie, but he just got to the AHL. So I think it's probably like there is a natural procession here where Matt Murray was signed to be in professional hockey probably, and that we're going to keep him down there to do it, whereas Hildeby is a natural thing that just in case Stolarz doesn't work out or we can't sign him or whatever it's going to be, you know, we can go back to Hildeby because there's like a natural hierarchy that they're working through. Now, is that smart? I don't know. Like, I get that in like in a vacuum, in a hypothetical, like in a business sense, but in an actual sport where performance does really matter, it's a little frustrating, especially when you start that game and before the Leafs have even got a shot on net. I think there was 2 or 3 goals in. Like,
two.
Not a good start. 2.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, very annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Akhtiamov is kind of the project for the future if, you know, things don't go well, like years down the line and we're not able to sign re-sign Stolarz and like Joe Wall just doesn't end up being the guy. I think Akhtiamov is like kind of the project for the future. I did wonder about Matt Murray. Just like, I wonder if, because he is playing well down there, if he was going to get an opportunity. But like, I'm not like mad about it or anything.
No, I think, and I don't know what your worry is. Like, you should think that the veteran goalie that has, you know, been part of deep Stanley Cup runs and things like that would be the one that would have the confidence that even if it didn't go well, you're like, oh no, it's okay. You know, like, I've got to rely on. But I wonder if they're just protecting him. Cause like, if he comes up and they give up 6, it's going to be like, oh fuck. Well, he's never coming back up again, you know, the kind of thing. Whereas like Hildeby, like, no, you're young. Don't worry. It's okay. We'll get there. And like a win like this is so good for that confidence where it's like, you didn't play great in the beginning and they saved you. And you're like, okay, that's like a sign of confidence that I think goes a long way.
And Anthony Stolarz is on IR, retroactive to last Wednesday, so he will miss the game in Dallas this coming Wednesday. And then it's funny because like we talked about this before with the day-to-day thing, like Berube saying day-to-day, and like it seems like when he says day-to-day, it's actually week to week, or who knows.
They gotta stop asking him. Like, at what point do you go like, yeah, like, okay, like, I know they have to. I get that, but it's none of it is accurate. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, so who knows? Because then you're looking at after Wednesday, you've got Friday at Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then a back-to-back, so Friday, Saturday. You wonder if he'd get one of those games in.
Yeah.
Or you're like, let's hold him out and then save him for Monday versus Winnipeg, because that's a big game just based on how Winnipeg's playing this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know, and then I think it was some of the TSN guys, or maybe Overdrive, were giving the Leafs a hard time about the way that they have played Stolarz in the last week, by giving him the, not quick turnaround, but playing him more. And, you know, I think that's like a little bit of revisionist history where, like, he gets hurt and then you look back and you go, well, that must have been it. But, like, I do understand the theory in general that the Anthony Stolarz, his biggest issue has never been really performance. It's been just injury. He's just not been able to stay healthy enough to log enough continuous effort to see that, like, yeah, this is a real thing. And then, of course, so this was inevitable that this was going to happen. We've already seen from Joe Wall, who is also very injury prone. So I don't know if this is like, it's obviously disappointing, but it's nothing surprising, right?
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's just, annoying, I think. Is the word, because you're just like, like we've said, we've known about their injury problems, and it's like, it might be coming at some point in time. I guess what matters is like as long as they're both healthy in April.
Yeah. That's all that matters, and everything until then is hypothetical. And I feel more bad for like the morning drive time radio guys. Are like, who starts game one? And it's like, because that conversation kind of goes away. Like, it's like, who's healthy? Like, okay, cool. Like, well, that guy's gonna start. Cool. And obviously you hope you have the choice. And what a terrible choice that would be between two goalies that are playing well.
Yeah, but it's like kind of that. I know we're now just talking about the fucking playoffs in goddamn December, but like, well. When they are both healthy, you are then faced with the what Boston was faced with last year.
Yep.
Where it's like the moment one goalie doesn't get the win, then the questions come up, and you're like, and that can kind of fuck, I think, with just like the coach's game plan. Anyway, I'm getting way too ahead of myself.
Yeah, well, it's inevitable.
Yeah, Leafs are first in the Atlantic, 40 points, baby. So keep her going. Let's talk God of the Week, because
absolutely
we have to talk about who just had
obviously we're looked upon as kind of gods here, to be honest.
So my God of the Week is Mr. Amulet himself, the original amulet wearer, John Tavares.
Yeah.
Tavares.
Yeah.
With a hat trick last night. He is turning back the clock over and over. And we say turning back the clock, but he's 34 years old. So
I know.
As a 34-year-old person, that hurts me to say.
Uh-huh.
15 goals. What is it? 13 assists? Yeah, 28 points in 30 games. And it's just like, it seems that there's been this talk of like him not being captain anymore is like taking some pressure off him. Do you buy that? Or is this just business as usual for John Tavares?
I don't know. He doesn't seem like while I do think being a local kid weighs on you, the wins and losses of this team, I think more than, Austin Matthews, even though I think it weighs on him too, just because he's been here so long. I don't think he's the rah-rah guy and the emotional guy. I think he's a pretty calculated guy that goes out there and plays the way he's going to play. I just think he had a down year last year, and now he's having a good year. He's also in a contract year. So I don't, let's not remove the idea that might also be playing a part of it. Like Mitch Marner, oh man, this is why this is one of the best guys. Well, this is also in a contract year. So I think there's a little bit of that. I don't necessarily apply the captaincy to it. Do you?
No, because I think if you look at his past years, it's all the same. Like he's hovered around a point per game over the last few years. Always, he is insanely consistent. I think people just think, when he scores in bunches, it's like, oh, it must be the pressure gone from not being captain anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just like when the Leafs are losing or not playing well, you're pointing at the captain. Like people are kind of doing it with Austin right now, being like, he still looks injured. He doesn't look right. What's going on?
Yeah.
And I just think now that John's not wearing it, people are more delighted to celebrate John Tavares. But when you look at the numbers, he's 28 points in 30 games. He's kind of been hovering around that the last few years. Like he'll finish with 79 points or 80 points. So it's business as usual for John. He's super consistent. Mm-hmm. He's just he's scoring in bunches now, I think, which is I guess that's more eye-opening for like the casual fan to see.
Yeah, you score a hat trick. It is definitely something that snaps your attention. But it's just, I think it's more of us as humans. We always try and find causation or relation to everything that happens because it makes us feel better. It's like you lose the captaincy, he plays better. Okay, that's good. I get that. When really we just don't want to admit that like hockey is a huge amount of chances. And sometimes, with a matter of centimeters, goals go in or they don't. And when you're a good player, you're putting yourself in a position to have more chances at these things, or they're closer to where you want it to be. And these are going in, and maybe they didn't last year. And it has nothing to do with the captaincy, and he's just a talented player. I don't know. But, I don't know if he's the guy that's like, oh, thank God, I don't have to worry about all these press conferences and stuff like that. You're still doing them.
He's not. They asked him last night, literally after the game, like, is it something about like, did you feel better that the pucks are now going in for you, and like, feel like you're having a better year? And he was like, I've always been, been able to be gifted offensively in this league, so I take that as a blessing, and it's just like, like John Tavares has always been an offensive player. He's always been able to score goals in this league. Nothing new. It's just, I think people are like, oh, he's not wearing the captaincy. He's gotten his second hat trick of the year. Like, He's turning back the clock. No, the clock is just still back for John Tavares.
I was talking about it on Saturday. I had a friend over, and they were watching. We had the Red Wings game on in the background, and I was explaining John Tavares in the exceptional player status in the OHL. And explaining that sounds so much closer to Hogwarts than I wanted it to, where it's just like, and then a panel of people vote on if they think you're amazing, and like if you're not going to get killed in the next league with men, and they're like, oh yes, he is quite exceptional, we're going to vote for him, and they're like, what other players? I'm like, actually their ranking of like who they have approved to move on is actually like the hit rate's tremendous. Like, so, maybe that is. But yeah, I was just talking about John Tavares thinking like he has been exceptional since he was put on skates. So, my God of the Week is going to be, this is my second time he's been my God of the Week. I now realize we almost have to have a God of the Week rankings or poll board here is Max Pacioretty. Max Pacioretty's back. And you could feel it in so many different ways. Not only is his mobility in the lineup really fun, and that second line now looks really like, now that top six, like, okay, we got the top six. This is good. Mm-hmm. This is really exciting. He scores goals. He nearly assassinates people. It is just a ton. Oh, man, that hit. Holy smokes.
We're talking about the Jack Hughes one?
Yeah, the Jack Hughes one against the Devils.
God.
Yeah, I know. And it is like, yeah, it's pretty on the line of like, yeah, he's in a vulnerable position or whatever. Yeah, but I'm just so glad that there is players on our team that are trying to find ways to hit other players, even if it's on the line. That was awesome. That wasn't the only assassination in New York this week. Good God, Pacioretty nearly killed Jack Hughes. Ugh.
I'm not even gonna get into this.
Our own Luigi Mangione with his eyebrows
at the
aside.
bar the other day was just like, looked at me and was just like, "Hey, you look like that shooter from New York." And I was like, "Are you insane?" Because I'm Italian.
Yeah.
It's like, "Are you Italian?" I'm like, "I am Italian." I get it.
You seem to have eyebrows, and oh, okay, cool. All right, yeah. Max Pacioretty just. The second he comes back in the lineup and all of a sudden the puck is moving a little bit better, I don't think that's a coincidence. So, yeah, Max Pacioretty for my second time, God of the Week.
God of the Week. Here's a question for you.
Sure.
This is kind of a fun question. I'm going to pull up the stats right now. Okay. What do you think the chances are? Do you think Mitch Marner has a real shot at the Art Ross?
That is it. I don't know if I had put that thought through my head this year. Wow.
So
how close is he?
He's 9 points out. McKinnon is in first with 50 right now. What day is it? It's Monday. McKinnon's got 50. Kaprizov has 47.
Yep.
And Marner has 41. Tied with Connor McDavid with 41.
Wow, yeah, absolutely he does. Like, you can't say no. I don't think you could say no, especially with Matthews coming back and looking relatively healthy. Like, it was only going to be harder without him. I get that I get he'll get more ice time and they'll double shift him and put him in more positions. But now you have the greatest goal scorer in the world in between you. So, like, I think, wow, he might have a chance at that, and he also is going to be maybe a Selke nominee. Like, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, he gets points in bunches. He's constantly producing. It's Mitch Marner in a contract year, like you said.
Hey, how about that? What a coincidence.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing to that at all.
We've gotten into that already. We don't have to
I know.
get into that
I
anymore.
know. I think people, without us even saying it, I think people can put together very quickly what we mean by that.
Yeah. Leafs got 4 games before the Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, Dallas, Buffalo, the Islanders, and the Jets. So, Dallas is going to be they're all tough because, the Leafs have the wonderful privilege of playing down to their opponents at times and playing up to their opponent's strengths at times. So that'll be interesting. The Monday game is the afternoon one before Christmas. That one, I'm gonna make a prediction here and say that one is gonna be a very high scoring game. It always feels like a high scoring game.
Oh, interesting.
Like I think back to the Carolina one. That was like I think that was just before Christmas, the afternoon game. The next gen one where you saw the Matthews spinorama pass to Marner, or the Mitch Marner.
I was at that game.
Oh, you were at that game?
Yeah, I was at that game. I know.
Jesus Christ.
In the middle of the afternoon, I had way too many drinks. It was great. But Monday versus Winnipeg, that would be amazing being a high-scoring game, too, considering how they have the best goalie in the world, probably, and, and they've held up pretty well. I was so expecting a nosedive from Winnipeg, just considering their start, and whatever. I will say I laughed so hard at the Winnipeg flaunting a sellout here on Saturday night. It was because the Habs were in town. Like, congratulations. And also they took the photo in black and white, so you couldn't tell the colors of the jerseys.
Wow.
I know, and I was like, that is not. They're down bad.
Oh no.
One of the best teams in the league. Jesus.
Yeah, it's kind of upsetting. Well, it is upsetting.
It is. It's upsetting. It's upsetting because it's like the most basic economics lesson where it's like Winnipeg, not doing great. They're not going to have like tons and tons of opportunity to buy luxury tickets, or boxes or something like that.
Yeah.
No matter how good the team is, which sucks.
Yeah, kind of egregious.
Oh, it's egregious.
This is egregious.
Egregious.
This is egregious.
Why don't you go first?
I'm going to go first. This is the biggest layup of egregious thing for me, because not only do we hate the player health and safety department, once again the Leafs are on the short end of somebody being violent towards them, and they walk away with just a fine. Jonathan Berggren. I'm gonna go with Berggren. Yeah. Fine. Yeah, I don't know. That's an odd. Actually, that is almost a parallelogram. He cross-checked Connor Dewar in the head, and just out of nowhere, just straight up cross-checked him, dropped Dewar to the ground. There was a scrum afterwards, and he doesn't get a suspension. And I just, once again, I'm asking. He walks away with the max fine of $2,000, which, congratulations. I could do the exact same and get a jaywalking ticket. And so I just don't understand. Show us the video of where this consistency is. Matthews gets games for the Buffalo Sabres 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. Riley gets 5 for last year's when it rides up on the shoulder of Riley Gregg or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And then now we have this one where it's not even. He hits him straight in the head with the cross check and drops him, and you're like, there's no consistency. And the one thing that Brendan Shanahan did that I found him kind of annoying when he used to run this department too, but he used to come out with a video and go, here's a comparable from this, and this is why we're doing it this, because there is past precedent with this. And this one's like, are they just spinning a wheel? I just have no idea where these things come from.
They're just guessing. Guessing.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. It turns me into the guy I don't want to be, where it's like, oh, the refs are against you. I hate that shit. I always think it's like loser talk, where it's like, oh, the refs. It's like, well, play better. I don't know what to tell you. And this one is just like, there's so much consistency in how inconsistent it is. It makes me like want to turn into the Joker. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's just, that's all we want as fans, is just consistency.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Like, but yeah, once again, nothing from them.
0. Okay, so I don't have one. I was like thinking, and I guess I haven't listened to really any hockey podcasts this week.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't been turned off by anything or like been made upset. Mm-hmm. And coming off a win, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm in a holiday mood. I got holiday light on. But I just kind of have a question for you. Do you have a Leafs sweater or a Leafs Christmas sweater? Like, do you wear like Leafs Christmas stuff around the holidays?
I don't know if I have any Leafs Christmas specific things. That I will say I don't have a ton of Christmas specific things in general, so that it's not a Leafs thing. Why do you have a Leafs ugly Christmas sweater or something?
I did.
Okay.
An embarrassing story, which has completely no connection whatsoever. I had a Leafs Christmas sweater, and then when the Seahawks lost to the Patriots at the goal line with the Malcolm Butler interception, yes. I got so mad because I hate the Patriots more than anything in the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got so mad that I was like, why do I care about sports? And I threw out so many of my sports things that night in like a rage.
So, but you also, just for people listening at home, you also have quite a bit of sports stuff.
A lot.
So you would have had more. Like you've restocked your amount?
Yeah, you know what? I've never no, that's a lie. I have discarded a jersey. I've got rid of my Toscala one. So,
yes,
yeah,
right.
I have
brought that up.
Yeah. But in a rage, like I haven't like thrown anything out in a rage since then. It was just like, for me, nothing pained me more than Tom Brady winning Super Bowls. And when that happened, and it looked like it wasn't gonna happen, and then it just kind of happened in a second.
Yeah, blink of an eye.
I was just like so mad, I was like, why do I care about this shit? Why the fuck do I care about fucking sports? Why did they make me so fucking riled up? And I think like a Leafs shirt and a Leafs Christmas sweater got caught in the fire and got tossed. So I need to buy another one because I was thinking about that going into the holidays. I'm like, what am I going to wear to Christmas? And I would like to wear a Leafs Christmas sweater, but mine is somewhere in a garbage dump from 10 years ago.
I am slowly trying to not. But the basketball games being on Christmas Day was always a like. Well, just put it on the background quietly. Like my dad would like clearly because we're both gambling on stuff. Now football doing this is like I cannot wait to break this to my mom. You're like, there's football on today. She'll be like she won't turn around. I could just hear something drop. I'm like, oh, they're just gonna be mad about this. NHL, please keep the Christmas break. No one is arguing about this. This is a good idea.
I I mean, if there was a Leafs game on Christmas, I'd be so giddy.
I've heard people say it's the don't get divorced week, and it's like, just priorities. I get it. But man, oh man, yeah.
I guess you got the juniors like the next day.
We do. Yeah.
Which is always kind of exciting. This year, I'm excited to see A, Easton Cowan again, and B, Gavin McKenna, because I think it's always exciting when you've got like a generational talent, quote unquote, that people talk about in the tournament, like when, Connor Bedard was coming up, obviously Connor McDavid and John Tavares and Sidney Crosby. Like those World Juniors I find are the ones I'm most excited to watch rather than just kind of like a regular year. When you're like, oh, there's a 16-year-old phenom. It's not even his draft year. He's that young. And he's supposed to be insane. And then I think the classic New Year's Eve against the States is always like really, really fun.
I love that they do that. I love these little traditions. I will say, like, hockey drafting, and I know we've been on the wrong side of this, but North American players, especially when they go into the World Juniors, flagging these guys as, like, superstars, their accuracy is very good. Because almost every time you're like, and then they perform in the juniors, you're like, whoa, yeah, that guy is good. Holy shit. Yeah. It's very rare that you have the person you're like, that wasn't good at all. What happened there? And so, yes, that always highlighting those players, and Bedard was the most recent one. Even Lafreniere before that, you're like, and then you see them touch the puck around people their age, and you're like, oh fuck, like God, that guy's really good. So hopefully Cowan, we see that this year because he has been unbelievable again.
Yeah, and like even Celebrini last year in last year's tournament, like he didn't have the buzz that like a Bedard had, but then you see him on, you're like, oh, okay, he's like the guy who's supposed to go first overall, and then you see him on the ice, and you're like, yeah. He's actually like incredible. That makes sense. And he's been great this year.
This is our version of the NCAA tournament where you watch like, one player on one team. You're like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
They're just so much better than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. But yes, also having a day or two to only limit the number of TVs with sports is also not the worst thing in the world. Well, we'll disagree on that one, I guess. All right.
Numbers game.
Let's do the numbers game, a new version of the same game for last year where I pick a number between 1 and 99 of Leafs jerseys from the past, and Joey has to name 2 Leafs who have worn that number. We cannot name a player who is currently on the roster. Joey, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Today we are going to go we're in the nice middle part of numbers where it's like, yep, there's a couple of guys, okay. But then after that, and then I can't wait to get to the end of the year when it's like, if you don't get these 2 guys, you're in trouble. All right, we are going to go with number 41 in honor of our...
Got him.
You already got him?
I got him.
Okay, Joey, let us know. I didn't even get to say Anthony Sterling, have a good time on the IR.
41, yeah.
The current 41. All right, who are your...
2 in my... So how many do you have the list of like how many Leafs have worn it?
Yes,
I've got 2 in my mind.
I believe it's 7. Wait, let me just get this. Excuse me, 9 players have ever worn this number. And I would say more than half of them are unremarkable.
Yeah, I've got 2. Okay. So I've got what I need. And my first one, the mouth breather himself, Nikolai Kulemin.
That's exactly where I went to. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's just like, I think there was little to love or little to be happy about in that Leaf era. So I think we really latched on to the Kulemin, Grabowski, Komarov trio, where I think that would maybe get lost in the shuffle if that kind of happened in this era of Leafs hockey. But there was just so much shit back then that I think Nikolai Kulemin was like, Nikolai Kulemin,
young
superstar Nikolai Kulemin. And then my second one was the slowest player I've ever seen in the Leafs jersey, Mr. Jason Allison.
Yes, Jason Allison wore number 41 in 2006. Nikolai Kulemin for 5 years, 2009, 2014. Other players that have worn 41. Matt Stajan for 1 year wore 41 in 2003.
Oh yeah, because he was 14 for most of his career.
Yep, I didn't know if that was
flipped.
He flipped. More recent players: Nikita Shoshnikov in 2016 and Dmytro Timashov in 2020. And then, Shane Toporowski, Eric Lacroix, and Paul Gagne all for 1 year in between the 80s and 90s. So I'm glad you got the two that you would have known.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Jason Allison was like the big free agent acquisition.
Yeah.
And it was because I think he had just scored 40 goals or something like that with Boston. Mm-hmm. And then he came over, and it was as the NHL was transitioning post-lockout, and it was a completely different game. And it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
You were just like, this guy is so slow. He's so behind every play. How did he score 40 goals?
Yeah.
And I think he's talked about it too, that he had a hard time transitioning because I think it suited his game before that, and then the dead puck era just like really fucked with him. Yeah. So that was kind of like his decline. It just did not work out in Toronto.
Right.
But yeah, more number 41.
There is a long litany of players just like Jason Allison in my head that just came to Toronto, and it's like, whoa, okay, wow, this old guy that used to be good sucks.
Eric
Lindros, Owen. We got Brian Leach for that part, and you're like, he was fine, but like you're like, this is not the guy everyone's talking about, right? And you're like, yeah, no.
Ron Francis. Although those were like playoff teams, like great years. I guess more recently, Joe Thornton.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jason Blake didn't work out.
Oh my God, that was so bad. That was our big acquisition on Canada Day that 1 year.
Yeah.
That one was bad.
That was bad. Yeah, that was one. You're right. That was the Canada Day one where like, and now it's noon. Jason Blake is signed with Toronto Maple Leafs. You're like, oh fuck, this was like our big one, huh? Okay. Yeah. Long litany of players.
We had that problem of just like getting old players past their prime for a while there.
Yeah, which is funny now because there is a big separation now where like the older Toronto-born or Ontario-born players were like, yeah, I'm going to come back to finish my career there. And now that is not true, but there are younger players that want to come back and play, which is very interesting. So nice little switch.
It's fine when you're doing it and it's like a Mark Giordano type where you're not expecting him to play like the minutes that he was playing in his Norris years. But it's not fine when you're like, oh, we've got 40-year-old Joe Thornton. Let's put him on the power play one.
Yeah. Exactly. Or if they're being paid the minimum, you're like, well, what are you gonna do? Like that's cool. Like that's totally fine. Ryan O'Reilly. We'll have to talk about that going in the future because people keep talking about reacquiring him, which just seems it seems like a bad idea all around. Not only does he clearly not want to be here, he is not playing well. Yeah,
he's too scared.
I don't know.
He hates the spotlight.
This is the opposite of the Tavares conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah. All right.
I don't care.
Some news around the league. How surprising is the Capitals' start to you? Like, I'm shocked.
Tremendously surprising. Like
former Leaf coach Spencer Carberry has the team in first in the conference.
This team made the playoffs last year, and so you go, oh, why is that surprising? You go, because their goal differential was negative. They gave up more goals than they scored, and they made the playoffs, and people are like, that's crazy. Pittsburgh and all these other teams didn't get in. There were much better teams. And so you assume, well, that is an underlying stat, the most basic version of advanced stats, that you go, oh, they're probably going to have a worse year, right? What the hell? No, they're first in the conference. That's crazy.
Yeah, Carberry Cream Eggs really has his dressing room ready to go. And, like, without Alex Ovechkin, he's been gone for a while. He is traveling now. I think they were saying he's going to travel with the team on the upcoming road trip. And,
that's crazy.
And maybe return soon, which would be a big boost for them. And then we can get that goal race going back on. But first in the conference is nuts, especially, like, that was the team who squeaked in last year. Mm-hmm. They got swept in the first round. It was kind of like, what did they do to get better?
Yeah.
Not much. I guess when you got goaltending like Logan Thompson, who is playing very, very well.
Very well.
Goaltending can take you pretty far. So the Caps are first in the conference, which is wild. I mean, we're coming up on the halfway mark in the next couple weeks here. And I don't know. Like, that's... You get to a point where you've made such a cushion for yourself that...
Yeah.
we'll see because like the Rangers are now completely out of the playoff picture. They're playing so bad.
I was gonna say, and they won the Presidents last year. Like we have to do a midseason recap in the next, probably in 2 episodes from now, because that is who would have seen that coming? And I'm sure we're gonna talk about that in a second because they just traded Jacob Trouba, their captain.
Jacob Trouba has been traded or was traded to the Ducks. The weirdest trade I think in recent memory.
Well, yeah, like it's just whatever it is, none of it's good. You get rid of Jacob Trouba, cool, that's great. You get rid of his salary, that's awesome. All those positives. He's your captain. You threaten to waiver him because he has a limited no trade. And so they say, all these teams that you want to go to, which is supposedly Detroit. That's the big one. That was the one that Detroit wanted to get him. And Detroit supposedly wanted him, but I don't know. Something happened. And so New York goes to their captain and goes, if you don't accept this trade, we're going to waiver you and anyone could take you. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, well, that sucks. Why? Can you imagine being a free agent? Well, I guess I'm with the Rangers. That's cool.
Some enemies. Quickly on the Ducks, those uniforms are terrible.
Yeah.
So I thought the change was good
ones?
because their uniforms beforehand were like even worse. And the jersey itself is fine, but when you combine it with the orange helmet and the orange pants, like just watching that game when we played them last week was like my eyes.
Yeah.
My eyes.
My eyes. Oh, God. I know. I love the older logo, but then like kind of being aggressive with the coloring and design, it's like it almost takes away that fun old element of it. It just becomes an old logo on a new design.
Green and purple. Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah, teal or whatever. Yeah,
instead now it's like a Philadelphia Flyers hybrid.
Yeah. I don't like it, and I don't really understand what Pat Verbeek, a very Jacob Trouba type player, as the GM of the Ducks, is really going for, or what they expect to get out of Jacob Trouba, because it is. We've known this for a while. No matter how you feel about how the Rangers handled this, he is a declining player pretty steeply, especially for the way he plays. And so, like, I hope that kind of works out. But the Ducks also weren't done trading. They traded Cam Fowler to the Blues shortly after. Talk about declining player again. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it actually, other than the name, I don't know if it makes
now
a big
like
deal
the Blues back end is like filled with defenders who might be making too much money or like more than what they're worth. But I mean, Jim Montgomery's got them in a good spot, and like Binnington's playing well, and so is their backup Joel Hofer. He seems to be like winning every single game he plays, which is weird. St. Louis is one of those teams where you just kind of forget about because they get kind of lost in the West. Like there's those sexy teams in the West, and then there's St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. God, they're such an unsexy team. Well, at least they have a smoke show with Jim Montgomery on the bench. He's a handsome guy. Yeah, and I think the last thing we got to bring up too is that because I think it was part of my This Is Egregious a couple weeks ago where I go, oh, guess what? It's that time of period where we go, Ottawa sucks, and everyone acts surprised by it. They're in a playoff spot right now.
Ottawa is in a playoff spot. The Atlanta
That's crazy.
is sending right now 5 teams to the playoffs if the season ended today. Yeah, because Florida, Toronto, and Boston are all playing really well. Tampa's playing very well. Just hasn't played as many games as everyone else.
Yeah.
But if you count like their games played as wins, they're in the top 3. And then you've got Ottawa as the second wild card right now, which who knows if that'll last? Like, we will see.
Yeah. Like, I get the idea that, like, whatever, steel sharpens steel, and you're like, you want to play the best all the time, and whatever. I'm just getting so exhausted of all my favorite sports teams are always in the best divisions all the time, and I'm always like, okay, cool. All right, great. 5 teams, eh? Oh, wow, that's great.
Gauntlet right now. And it was, and it has been, and it will be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From here on out until the end of time.
That is all the time we have. If you've made it this far, we appreciate the hell out of all you good buds. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And go Leafs go. Yeah, I gotta buy mine.
Get your ugly sweater. Go Leafs go.
And not throw it out.
When you're back down, when you're back down in Mexico, I hope you feel better like you wanted to then. I know we haven't talked.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it!